Mr. Conrad. Mr. Conrad, no. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, no. Mrs. Hutchison. Mrs. Hutchison. Aye. Mr. Coates. Aye. Mr. Coates. Aye.
On this vote, are there any senators wishing to change their vote? On this vote, the yeas are 41, the nays are 57. One senator responded present. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this amendment, the amendment is not agreed to. The question is on the underlying Menendez amendment. There are 2 minutes evenly divided.
Mr. President.
The senator from New Jersey.
Mr. President, I ask that the Senate be in order.
The Senate will come to order. Please take your conversations from the well.
I ask the Chair to advise me in 30 seconds to pass by.
Senator from New Jersey.
The Menendez-Isaacson amendment would temporarily restore conforming loan limits to the level that existed under the law as of September 30th but expired. The drop in loan limits has reduced consumer credit in 669 counties across 42 states. And the amendment, as we have drafted it, will save taxpayers $11 million over 10 years, including $2 million in fiscal year 12, according to CBO, by creating a premium that borrowers have to pay as a result of getting the loan, therefore putting
the senators use 30 seconds.
Therefore putting the risk on the borrower, not the taxpayer. If we want to get our economy moving, the housing market has to be part of it, and I'd like to yield to my distinguished colleague from Georgia, Senator Isaacson.
Mr. President, how much time is left?
9 seconds. The Senate will be in order. for the senator from Georgia.
This is going to be tough in 9 seconds, but let me say there's a 15 basis point fee on every loan that closes under this that goes into securing the credit that's issued by Freddie or Fannie or FHA to makes the taxpayer whole at a plus $11 million. It's right for the housing market. It takes us back to where we were. It doesn't add any additional liability.
Mr. President,
Yields time.
I yield myself 1 minute.
The senator from Alabama.
Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to vote against the Menendez amendment. If this amendment becomes law, taxpayers will be forced to subsidize individuals who make upwards of $200,000 a year so that they may buy homes worth nearly $1 million. That's what this is about. Increasing the loan limits will only benefit those who don't need federal subsidies. This is simply not a good use of scarce taxpayers' dollars. Even the administration does not support higher loan limits here. It's a bad amendment.
Under the previous order, 60 votes are required for the adoption of the amendment. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Bekich, Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Bingaman, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, thank you, Mr. Crapo, Mr. DeMint, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Grassley. Mrs. Hagan. Mr. Harkin. Mr. Hatch. Mr. Heller. Mr. Hoven. Mrs. Hutchison. Mr. Inhofe. Mr. No Way. Mr. Isaacson. Mr. Johans. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota. Mr. Carey. Mr. Kirk. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Cole. Mr. Kyle. Ms. Landrieu. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Leahy, Mr. Lee, Mr. Levin, Mr. Lieberman, Mr. Lugar, Mr. Manchin, Mr. McCain, Mrs. McCaskill, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Menendez. Mr. Merkley. Ms. Mikulski. Mr. Moran. Ms. Murkowski. Mrs. Murray. Mr. Nelson, Nebraska. Mr. Nelson of Florida. Mr. Paul, Mr. Portman, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, Mr. Reed of Nevada, Mr. Risch, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Shelby, Ms. Snow, Ms. Stabenow. Mr. Tester. Mr. Thune. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Udall of Colorado. Mr. Udall of New Mexico. Mr. Vitter. Mr. Warner. Out of my hand. Mr. Webb. Mr. Whitehouse. Mr. Wyden. Mr. Wicker. Senators voting in the affirmative: Akaka, Baucus, Beckidge, Bennett, Bingaman, Blumenthal, Blunt, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Brown of Ohio, Cantwell, Cardin, Carper, Casey, Chambliss, Conrad, Coons, Durbin, Feinstein, Franken, Gillibrand, Graham, Hagan, Harkin, Heller, Inouye, Isaacson, Johnson of South Dakota, Kerry, Klobuchar, Landrieu, Leahy, Levin, Lieberman, Manchin, McCaskill, Menendez, Merkley, Mikulski, Murkowski, Murray, Nelson, Nebraska, Nelson of Florida, Pryor, Reed of Rhode Island, Reed of Nevada, Rockefeller, Sanders, Schumer, Shaheen, Stabenow, Tester, Udall of Colorado, Udall of New Mexico, Warner, and Wyden. Mrs. Hutchison. Ms. Snow. Ms. Snow, aye. Ms. McConnell. Mr. Whitehouse, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Alexander, Ayotte, Barrasso, Bozeman, Coates, Coburn, Cochran, Collins, Corker, Cornyn, Crapo, Dement, Enzi, Grassley, Hatch, Hoven, Hutchison, Inhofe, Johans, Johnson, Wisconsin, Kirk, Cole, Kyle, Lee, Lugar, McCain, McConnell, Moran, Paul, Portman, Risch, Roberts, Rubio, Sessions, Shelby, Thune, Toomey, Vitter, and Wicker. Mr. Lautenberg, aye. Mr. Cole? Aye. Right, 60. The ayes are 60, the nays are 38. One senator responded present.
Are there any senators in the chamber wishing to vote or change their vote? If not, the ayes are 60, the nays are 38. One senator voted present, responded present. The amendment is agreed to. Without objection.
Mr. President,
Senator from Louisiana.
just a point of personal privilege or parliamentary inquiry. At the rate of voting that we're going with the amendments that are pending, could the parliamentarian or the leader share with us, since it's taken an hour and 45 minutes on 4 votes, what it might look like for the rest of the night?
The Senate will be in order.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I know how frustrating it is for everyone. This is not a question for the parliamentarian. We're doing our best to work through these votes. They're 10-minute votes. We are doing our utmost to maintain that time, and we'll continue to do that. We're sorry on close votes. Everyone knows sometimes they take a little longer. So I apologize to my friend from Louisiana, everyone else. Let's move through these votes as quickly as we can.
Mr. President, could I just respectfully make one suggestion? There are 3 options. We can stick to 10 minutes, we can voice vote, or we can withdraw, all of which would rapidly speed up the process.
Republican Leader.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
I wish I'd have thought of saying that.
The next amendment is the Gillibrand Amendment, number 869.
Mr. President,
The senator from New York is recognized.
I urge my colleagues to support this amendment because we've all seen how these storms have destroyed crops, farmland, enormous economic opportunity in state after state. Texas, 98% of the state is experiencing drought. Mississippi, farmers wade through acres of murky water. Timber, catfish farms inundated. New York State, crops destroyed, cows destroyed. Tennessee, unprecedented levels of rainfall. This money is literally the difference between life and death for these farmers. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment, and I request a voice vote. Would Senator Blunt like to address the...
If all time is yielded back, the question's on the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
As for yeas and nays?
Is there sufficient second?
No.
Mr.
At this moment, there's not a sufficient.
Mr. President, excuse me. I would note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk.
Call the roll and see if a quorum is present. I believe a quorum is present.
The clerk will call the roll to ascertain the presence of a quorum.
Mr. Akaka.
Mr. President, per point of personal privilege, could we call the roll faster? Akaka's not a long name like Mikulski.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Mr. President. Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to call the quorum be terminated.
Without objection.
I ask for the yeas and nays on the Gillibrand Amendment.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka. Mr. Alexander. Ms. Ayotte. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Balkis. Mr. Begich. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bingaman. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blunt. Mr. Bozeman. Mrs. Boxer. Mr. Brown of Massachusetts. Mr. Brown of Ohio. Mr. Burr. Ms. Cantwell. Mr. Cardin. Mr. Carper. Mr. Casey.
Okay, darling. Thank
Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Coates. Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Dement, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Heller, Mr. Hoven, Mrs. Hutchison, Mr. Inhofe, Mr. Inouye, Mr. Isaacson, Mr. Johans, Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, Mr. Johnson of South Dakota, Mr. Kerry, Mr. Kirk, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Cole, Mr. Kyle, Ms. Landrieu, Mr. Lautenberg, Mr. Leahy, Mr. Lee, Mr. Levin, Mr. Lieberman, Mr. Lugar, Mr. Manchin, Mr. McCain, Mrs. McCaskill, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Menendez, Mr. Merkley, Ms. Mikulski, Mr. Moran, Ms. Murkowski, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Nelson of Nebraska, Mr. Nelson of Florida, Mr. Paul, Mr. Portman, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, Mr. Reed of Nevada, Mr. Risch, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Shelby, Ms. Snow, Ms. Stabenow, Mr. Tester, Mr. Thune, Mr. Toomey, Mr. Udall of Colorado, Mr. Udall of New Mexico, Mr. Vitter, Mr. Warner, Mr. Webb, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Senators voting in the affirmative: Akaka, Alexander, Baucus, Bingaman, Blumenthal, Blunt, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Brown of Ohio, Cantwell, Cardin, Casey, Cochran, Collins, Conrad, Durbin, Franken, Hagan, Harkin, Inouye, Johnson of South Dakota, Klobuchar, Cole, Landrieu, Lautenberg, Leahy, Levin, Lieberman, Manchin, McCaskill, Menendez, Merkley, Mikulski, Murray, Nelson of Nebraska, Nelson of Florida, Pryor, Reed of Rhode Island, Reed of Nevada, Rockefeller, Sanders, Schumer, Shaheen, Stabenow, Tester, Udall of Colorado, Warner, Whitehouse, Wyden. Mr. Kerry, aye. Mr. Udall of New Mexico, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Ayotte, Barrasso, Bozeman, Burr, Coates, Coburn, Corker, Cornyn, Crapo, DeMint, Enzi, Graham, Hatch, Heller, Inhofe, Isaacson, Johans, Kirk, Kyle, Lee, Lugar, McCain, McConnell, Murkowski, Hall, Portman, Risch, Rubio, Sessions, Shelby, Thune, Vitter, Wicker. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts, no. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Toomey, no. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, aye. Mr. Begich. Mr. Begich, aye. Mr. Moran. Mr. Moran, no. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin, no. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mrs. Gillibrand, aye. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Hoven, no. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chambliss, no. Mrs. Feinstein. Mrs. Feinstein, aye. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Grassley, no. Mr. Carper. Mr. Carper, no. Mr. Coons. Mr. Coons, aye. Mr. Wicker. Mr. Wicker, aye. Ms. Snow. Ms. Snow, aye. Mrs. Hutchison. Mrs. Hutchison, no.
Is there anyone wishing to vote or wishing to change their vote? Hearing none, the yeas are 58, The nays are 41. The amendment is agreed to.
Madam President,
The Majority Leader.
we would be much more efficient here. We have 10-minute votes. It's very, very difficult.
Will the Senate please be in order?
It's very difficult for those that are doing the work for us to determine who's voting which way, to hear us, people moving around. I think it would be to everyone's advantage that we all sit down and make sure these are really 10-minute votes. It would make it so much easier for the tally clerks and for everyone concerned. So I would ask that we all be, ladies and gentlemen, take our seats. This will move much more efficiently.
The question is on the Lautenberg Amendment, number 836. There are 2 minutes evenly divided.
Madam President.
The Senator from New Jersey.
Madam President, this amendment increases funding for disaster relief grants at the Economic Development Administration. 48 states have received the federal disaster declaration this year, and they'd be eligible for this relief. EDA funds rebuild sewers, drinking water systems, coordinate response and recovery plans, and help businesses to recover. This year alone, we've experienced a record 10 natural disasters costing more than $1 billion each. Hurricane Irene caused more than $7 billion in damage alone. In 2008, we gave EDA $500 million to respond to disasters in the South and the Midwest, and this amendment would give EDA the same amount this year. The amendment complies with disaster relief provisions in the Budget Control Act and is not offset with cuts from other programs. And Senator Sanders, Menendez, Gillibrand, Blumenthal, and Leahy are co-sponsors, and Chairman Mikulski supports it as well. And Madam President, I ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second?
Because
there is not a sufficient second. If all time is yielded back, the question is on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The opinion of the chair, the ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The amendment is agreed to.
All right. Hooray. Why? Because
Madam President. Madam President.
The senator from New Mexico.
Madam President, the next amendment is Amendment 771. Is that correct?
The senator is correct.
Madam President, this amendment will increase funding for the U.S. Trade Representative's Office to the level the President requested, also to the level that the House Appropriators have proposed. It adds nearly $4.5 million to the budget for the U.S. Trade Representative's Office. This is funding that is needed to enforce our trade agreements. We just entered into 3 new free trade agreements. They need the personnel in order to try to enforce these. We have a great many trade disputes with China. All of us are aware of that, and other major industrial countries as well. This has the support of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the Farm Bureau, the National Pork Producers Council. This is good legislation which I hope all senators will support. I yield the floor.
Who yields time in opposition? If all time is yielded back, the question is on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The amendment is agreed to. The next amendment is the Sessions Amendment, number 810. The senator from Alabama.
Madam President, the fastest growing large program we have by far is the food stamp program.
It's grown from $20 billion to $80 billion since 2001, grown 4 times. It's doubled since 2008. This year proposes another $10 billion increase, 14%. And one of the big reasons is we have a growing utilization of categorical eligibility, where if one qualifies for LIHEAP, TANF, counseling programs, and any number of other governmental relationships, you also qualify for food stamps. CBO scores this as costing as much as $10 billion over 10 years. This is a good government bill. You can get food stamps. Nobody would be eliminated. You simply have to go to the office and fill out the form and show that you meet the food stamp qualifications and not get by having met other qualifications that are less stringent. I really believe it's a good thing and would help us save some money and make this program more effective.
Madam President.
Who yields time?
Madam President.
The Senator from Michigan.
Madam President, first of all, I completely agree with Senator Sessions that we need to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse in the supplemental food program, as in every federal program. And I want to commend the USDA now for having less than a 4% error rate, and we're going to continue to push them to go down even further. Why? Because right now we have people who have paid taxes all their lives, who have never in their wildest dreams thought they would ever need help putting food on their table, and they do, and we can't afford to waste even $1. My colleague mentioned on the floor several times a lottery winner in Michigan who got food assistance. He's right. It was outrageous. The state changed it, and we're changing it in the upcoming Farm Bill. But the reality is that this amendment, the Sessions Amendment, completely changes the structure of the food assistance program, putting up barriers to hardworking, honest men, women, and children who need help, most of them for the first time in their entire lives. I would urge my colleagues to vote no.
Under the previous order, 60 votes are required for the adoption of this amendment. Is there a sufficient second? The clerk will call the roll. Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Baucus, Mr. Beckich, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bingaman, Mr. Blumenthal,
No.
Mr. Blunt, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Boxer, Mr. Brown of Massachusetts, Mr. Brown of Ohio, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Coates, Mr. Coburn, Mr. Cochran, Ms. Collins, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Coons, Mr. Corker, Mr. Cornyn, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Dement, Mr. Durbin, Mr. Enzi, Mrs. Feinstein, Mr. Franken, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Harkin, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Heller, Mr. Hoeven, Mrs. Hutchison, Mr. Inhofe. Mr. Inouye. Mr. Isaacson. Mr. Johans. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota. Mr. Kerry. Mr. Kirk. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Cole. Mr. Kyle. Ms. Landrieu. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Leahy.
For some reason.
I got yours now. Mr. Lee. Mr. Levin. I don't even know where I am. Mr. Lugar. Mr. Manchin. Mr. McCain. Mrs. McCaskill. Mr. McConnell. Mr. Menendez. Mr. Merkley. Ms. Mikulski. Mr. Moran. Ms. Murkowski. Mrs. Murray. Mr. Nelson, Nebraska. Mr. Nelson of Florida. Mr. Paul. Mr. Portman. Mr. Pryor. Mr. Reed of Rhode Island. Mr. Reed of Nevada. Mr. Risch. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Rockefeller. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Sanders. Mr. Schumer. Mr. Sessions. Mrs. Shaheen. Mr. Shelby. Ms. Snow. Ms. Stabenow. Mr. Tester. Mr. Thune. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Udall of Colorado. Mr. Udall of New Mexico. Mr. Mr. Vitter, Mr. Warner. Mr. Webb, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, and Mr. Wyden. Senators voting in the affirmative: Alexander, Ayotte, Barrasso, Blunt, Bozeman, Burr, Chambliss, Coburn, Corker, Cornyn, Crapo, Dement, Enzi, Graham, Grassley, Hatch, Heller, Hoeven, Hutchison, Isaacson, Johans, Johnson of Wisconsin, Kirk, Kyle, Lee, McCain, McCaskill, Moran, Murkowski, Paul, Portman, Risch, Roberts, Shelby, Thune, Toomey, Vitter, and Wicker. Senators voting in the negative: Akaka, Bekich, Bennett, Bingaman, Blumenthal, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Brown of Ohio, Cantwell, Cardin, Carper, Casey, Cochran, Collins, Conrad, Coons, Durbin, Feinstein, Franken, Gillibrand, Hagan, Harkin, Inouye, Johnson of South Dakota, Kerry, Klobuchar, Cole, Landrieu, Lautenberg, Leahy, Levin, Lieberman, Lugar, Manchin, Menendez, Merkley, Mikulski, Murray, Nelson of Florida, Pryor, Reed of Rhode Island, Reed of Nevada, Rockefeller, Rubio, Sanders, Schumer, Shaheen, Snow, Stabenow, Tester, Udall of Colorado, Udall of New Mexico, Warner, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Mr. Inhofe, aye. Mr. Coates, no. Mr. McConnell, aye. Mr. Baucus. Mr. Baucus, no. Mr. Sessions, aye. Mr. Nelson, Nebraska, no.
Are there any senators who wish to vote or wish to change their vote? If not, the ayes are 41, the nays are 58. The amendment is not agreed to.